Hi everyone. I've been thinking before we get to the topic. I was thinking that I'm still trying to figure out what to call the viewers, and I have really been struggling with that because dear viewer just sounds a little too, I don't know, just doesn't have a pizzazz to it. But I don't want to give you a whole speech about like how you're some intrepid philosophers or something, unless that's something you might like. So let me know about that if you feel like it. But today's topic is an AI one, and it's that a few days ago, I think it was ChatGPT. They have a video generating platform called Sora, and Sora, people had used Sora to generate like many videos of Martin Luther King Jr. It's like a fake video of him saying like all kinds of weird things or being in like therapy sessions or podcasts or like just I think in a clown outfit in one instance and like altering his I have a dream speech to be funny in these different ways. And par for the course that's what AI does. That's what people find funny, so that's what they use AI to do. But what's been different, well, I suppose what what has changed here is that ChatGPT actually banned the use of Sora for making videos about Martin Luther King Jr. They like banned it altogether. And it came after his his family, and I think his daughter, his name is Bernice King, after she's like urged them to take it down and said it was very insulting and that the family had to be consulted. And this has gone this sort of this gets to the heart of the idea of ownership of theoretical image. I just made that up. Theoretical image or theoretical likeness, where it's one thing to complain about real images of a person in some kind of situation. Getting a little hot here, but it's another thing altogether to complain that someone is essentially drawing you and imitating your voice to say something different. It's not as if they're pretending that Martin Luther King really did say like, I had a dream that I had a bucket of fried chicken. Like nobody's actually thinking that. It's just that, oh, well, that was dramatic. But nobody is thinking that it's a real copy. And there are instances where that is the case, like with the copying of writing, which I discussed in my last AI video, where writers were complaining that AI had learned to write based on looking at their writings and therefore was stealing their intellectual property. But all of these things, if we put aside the very real possibility that AI did just access their intellectual property for free, just like they sort of accessed Martin Luther King's likeness and voice for free, even though that wasn't really being owned by someone. But I think you could go into a few issues here. There's like a few valid issues. One, which as I just said, is the theft of intellectual property itself, which is fair. It is technically a theft of intellectual property, but I think that I'm going to get to the point there, which is that I don't think it really matters. But the other issues with it are that, for instance, I think what the family of Martin Luther King Jr. was suggesting, and what a lot of people in a similar situation have suggested, is that you are misrepresenting or defaming someone who can't defend themselves because he's dead, or even people who are alive. Like people were mad. It was only like a month ago that that they were mad that Trump posted a video. It was an AI video of, let's see if I remember the names, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, and they had Hakeem Jeffries in like this big like cartoonish sombrero, and they had Chuck Schumer saying, like they altered his voice so it would say like, we know all the voters hate us and that's why we're bringing in all these illegal immigrants so that way we can be in power forever. Like it was like blatantly altered. And people were mad partially because of the political significance, but also because people's voices and their likenesses are now manipulatable in a way that they never were before. Like obviously you could draw the person, or maybe you could do like some Photoshop. You could always Photoshop someone. Like you could Photoshop me in the Alps right now. Or you could Photoshop me like in front of some ISIS terrorists. Oh, ISIS, really taking us back. I'm a blast from the past. But you could Photoshop me there and say, oh, he was there. But, people could see the details back then enough so that they knew it was obviously false. And now AI has gotten to the point with Sora and similar platforms that at least for anyone above 50 basically, it is indistinguishable from reality. And there's like thousands of Facebook videos of like a kid, like some miracle happening. Like it's obviously AI for those of us who are young and who know what AI videos look like. But for them, it like you'd see these boomers in the comments being like, oh, so inspiring, amazing, I can't believe that kid would give away millions of dollars to random hobos. Like something like that. And it would just be filled with comments like this. So we've reached the point where AI is close enough to reality where it becomes a concern that people will mistake it for reality. And this brings us back to the main point, which is that what is the real limitation here? That like what do you plan to ban? Because let's say we acknowledge that intellectual property is being stolen and people are being fooled by something that could easily be malicious. What now? Are we to have every image that's generated by AI go through some kind of government compliance agency? Because really? Because now we're going into, well, I was about to say that, well, I could just make a drawing of someone that was convincing, but AI is simply so easy to make in comparison that it's fair to possibly want a limitation on it. But at what point are you going to ban these things? How far are you going to go? Because someone will, like the thing about AI is that, and I'm not going to explain AI in its totality here, but it's not that hard to build and copy. Like you can host an AI in your computer. It'll be dumb, but it'll be an AI. And if you train it with the right material and work with it for hours and hours and decades even, perhaps, you can make it do the same thing. You can make it generate realistic things. You can make it write things that sound just like an author. You can do that. So this is a very open source thing that's not going to be contained. It's like illicit adult material. Even places that have tried to ban and regulate it, it's really not gone very well. Like you can take it from me as an 11-year-old, you can always get it. You can get it. I promise. Like parents think they have parental controls, you can get it. It's completely bypassable, and every day there are new bypasses for this stuff. Because it's a thing that people want to do very badly. And I think with the AI, it may not be as much of a primal need as illicit content, but it is something that people find appealing enough for the widely varying reasons that they'll use it in order to, so that they're encouraged to find any workaround they possibly can. There are social media conversations going on every day about how to fool the AI, like ChatGPT, the official AIs, into giving you responses that they're not allowed to give all the time. And there's always new ones because people really want that stuff. And maybe they should be able to have that stuff. And you could potentially block out a lot of the problems through what essentially ChatGPT has already done. Every video from Sora has a big Sora. It's all over the screen. You can't get it. You can't get it out. It's a watermark. Oh God, did it again. it's a watermark and it's very easily detectable unless, well, at some point we can't guard everyone against their stupidity. If you're not willing to take a close look and just analyze the picture you're seeing a little bit, then the government's not there to make sure you don't slip and fall when you're walking on the sidewalk in like when it's in heavy rain. Like, I'm sorry, you have to be careful, and that would be such a standard of safety that it would be indefensible in any argument, because you could just spread that out to any other standard of safety. Oh, seatbelts aren't enough. Why don't we have helmets in all the cars too? Why don't we make kids wear helmets to school? There are asteroids that actually fly out of the atmosphere and they occasionally hit the ground, and those kids could get hit, so they should wear a helmet. You can go to that level of extreme, but it sounds really stupid. And trying to decide if I should get into the reason it sounds really stupid. I'll just mention it. It sounds really stupid because all values must be balanced. Balanced. Must be balanced. Sorry. And the balance there are multiple different things that you want in any situation. For instance, you want to go to work. Okay. Would walking in a hazmat suit be the safest thing to do? Yes. Would it slow you down dramatically and hurt your overall quality of life, not to mention comfort? Also yes. So it's always a balancing act. And people are pretty good at balancing those things for themselves. So that's just a brief exploration of that. I'm not going to go very deep. But I want to get back to the main issue, which is at least my thought that trying to ban images like this and ban usage of platforms such as this is both dubious logically and extremely hard to enforce. Because once an image or a video gets out on the internet, it can go anywhere, it can go into anyone's phone. So if you're gonna plug the leak, we have a really, really big ship and a lot of glaciers under the water that are gonna try to pierce it. And they're just gonna keep on coming, and you're gonna keep on trying to plug these leaks. And you may not be a web developer or internet developer in this stuff, but this stuff costs a lot of money. A human has to review, a lot of the platforms already, they have people who review horrific content, and they get paid pretty well to do this. They do it 8 hours a day. They're sitting behind the computer deciding which content should be banned, and they see really horrific stuff. They see all of it. So if you're going to bring that into the AI industry, not only are you just going to have people who do a similar job, but they're going to have to know a lot more about this stuff. They're going to have to know, because with the disgusting content, it's oh, this is just objectively horrifying. Banned. For the AI, well, is the likeness really that similar to the guy? What's the exact standard for that? What does the law say about that? And if there's a proper watermark, does it count? There's a lot of things that have to go into that, which means a lot more code, a lot more infrastructure for what's kind of a feeble result. Because there's always going to be another platform where you can just access this stuff anyway. People in foreign countries that ban internet access our internet all the time. They find a way through, and so can people all the time. And lately with TikTok and the Discord chats, Discord is basically a video game centered social media app with groups like Facebook, but a lot of private communications go through there, and a lot of kids are involved as well. So it's kids using it, not anything weird like that. But the idea here is that it would be tremendously hard to enforce. And beyond the tremendous hard to enforce, you could ban AI altogether, but then you're setting back both the competitiveness of the country's economy that you're representing and the overall progress of humanity. Because this is a stage that we have to get through. We have to figure out a way to cope to cope with the idea of and understand when AI is is bringing images, because clearly our eyes are no longer the trustworthy thing that they were in the past. Now we have to think more about what we're seeing. And that's a stage that we really ought not to avoid. And I think that probably is the central point of what I would want to say. But on what was it? The practicality and the legality. Okay, I think I actually did both. Is that, you're not, the internet, it turns out, is just a place where intellectual property of the written and picturesque, the picture sort is not really something you may want to own it, and the law may try to claim that you do. But in the end, once something is on the internet, it simply belongs to the ether. And there's just no getting around that. And I mean, I think the amount of effort it would take wouldn't really help compared to the result that you can get. I think it's exactly like illicit content. You try to ban it, it's a hydra, you cut off one head, two more will take its place. Because people want this stuff and they're going to get it. And even if you can stop it for a little while, it's just going to pop up in other places. So it's better, this is very similar to how illnesses are treated. Oftentimes doctors, which I'm not the biggest fan of organized medicine and the doctor field itself, but oftentimes what doctors will do is they will only look at the symptoms that you are presenting, and they will try to treat you for the symptoms instead of cure the ailment. And that is the same thing that's happening here. Everyone's talking about symptoms. Everyone's saying people are being fooled. Misinformation is spreading. These bad things can happen. But what they're not talking about is the fact that people are being fooled by this stuff. People are gullible to AI, and they're going to continue to be. And it's only going to get better. So, I mean, either we have to start teaching internet literacy in a way that was never taught before, or probably more accurately, because there'll always be a new trick, everyone has to become a lot less trusting of the screens. Or perhaps migrate to platforms that are a lot more protective of what they are seeing. Like, I could envision a world where you have almost like a dedicated fact checker, or I think this is more accurate to like the scams of sorts that boomers are caught in all the time, like the internet scams from Pakistan. And you could almost have like a fact checker that just checks everything that goes through into your phone. Or at least, maybe we just need a standard notification that says whenever you pull up a video, whenever you're in social media, just like a big red bar, like with cigarettes, like with what a lot of states and countries say about make cigarette companies put that says this can cause cancer. So perhaps what could be needed in all videos is this video might be blatantly lying to you and all of the footage might be completely false. That might be a really helpful thing now that I think about it. So this was just meant to be an exploration of the issue. I do think the initial issue of Martin Luther King Jr.'s family being outraged by the use of his name and likeness to say funny things was always a bit over the top. Like, I'm sorry, he's long dead now. Like, especially as a celebrity, your image and likeness and beliefs are part of the public domain. And people get to do what they want with them. And sometimes they'll do things that are not so nice. And that is a reality we all have to accept, because one, we don't live in a civil society right now. And I could go into that more, but I'm not going to waste your time with it now. But it is to say that the sensibilities of people when it comes to the things happening to them, especially online, are both far too morbid in terms of the people who want to do weird, crazy, bad things, like to his likeness, and the people who are way too sensitive, as in his family and the defenders of the banning of his likeness in the use of Sora. So, this is an unfinished issue, and I think a lot more talk has to happen about it. But the point is that we really have to start considering the postmodern life, so to speak. How are we going to communicate with each other, and how are we going to interact with the things we see on the screens, which increasingly surround us every day? How are we going to cope with that? Because we need an answer, because this is just going to keep coming, and either we're going to cope with that or we're going to lose the screens. And that would be a really big loss for a lot of people. So that's my thoughts on it. If you like or disagree or agree with my thoughts, please let me know in the comments. Give me a like and a subscription. I would really appreciate it. We're at 33 subscribers now. I will hope to get to 100 within a few months. So thank you very much for watching, and talk to you next time. Bye. Okay, that was weird.